Welcome to all of you, Dr. Ahluwalia, Dr. Gosain and all friends. We have been having this series of conversations on urban issues, and in every session we have been having a different topic, and each one of the conversations so far have been interesting, thoughtful, thought-provoking. Ahluwalia in particular for collaborating with us and producing this excellent series and locating for us outstanding speakers who give a completely different perspective to issues that confront us on an almost daily basis. And we look forward to continuing this very useful, very educative, very informative series in future in close collaboration with ICRIER. As I always mention, although this is built as a ICRIER-IHC initiative, our contribution has been mainly on the physical side, and the intellectual part has all been taken care by ICRIER and the speakers. So with these few words, I will now pass it on to Dr. Ahluwalia to introduce the speaker and the topic for the day. Thank you very much for coming, and hope you have a very informative and educative evening. Thank you.
Dr. Gosain, Mr. Kakkar, and friends, very good evening to you. By now, we've really got into the swing of these conversations on urbanization, so I don't need to introduce our program and the series, except to say that this time we have a speaker much closer home than in the past. In the past 4 cases, we've had speakers from Bangalore, from the Netherlands, and other places, from Ahmedabad. But this time, I stumbled upon a newspaper report which talked of Dr. Gosain's work, and I felt that this was so relevant for us at this point in time. Fortunately, now everybody is talking about Swacch Bharat. From the highest political leadership, we've got this message that we must work towards a clean India. But what we find is that it does not depend only on the leadership. It does not depend only on the money spent. It does not even depend on most efficient systems, if we could even put that in place. First and foremost, it depends on our appreciation of what it means to be Swacch. Does cleanliness just mean taking the garbage or dust from one end of the room to the other or outside of our home, and do we call that clean? Or do we look to see what we ultimately do to dispose of, what is waste, and what part of waste we can really regenerate, create a value from. And we've been talking about water scarcity, we've been talking about problems of water, but very few of us really think about the complete loop of what is needed if we are going to get clean water. If we are really not going to treat our sewage, and as you know, only 30% of sewage in urban India is actually treated. 70% is returned either to the ground or to our river bodies. So with that, if we don't start at the wastewater level, how can we really talk of clean water for drinking? So with all this in the background, who could we have better than Professor Gosain to talk to us about it. Professor Gosain is a professor at IIT Delhi, and he's worked in the field of water resources engineering and GIS technologies. You would have received a short profile, so I will not spend more time except to say that he's done many prestigious assignments within and outside the country, and one of his reassignments includes the formulation of the Ganga River Basin Management Plan, of which he is the team leader for the Water Resources Management Group. He's been engaged by the government of Delhi to formulate the drainage master plan of NCT of Delhi, and he's also part of the expert committee appointed by the National Green Tribunal. I think it was your work to the NGT which really was reported in the press when I saw that, and I said, you know, here is someone finally really trying to close the loop and getting us to look at the totality of this challenge. So without any further ado, let me request Professor Gosain to speak. I have explained to him that this series is called Conversations because we expect him only to introduce the subject in 10 to 12 minutes, and then we expect to engage with him through our questions and his wise answers. Thank you.
Dr. Ahluwalia, Mr. Prakash. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Ahluwalia to have created this opportunity for me to have some discussion and share some ideas with this audience. I'll quickly try to go through what we have been doing in Delhi and what is our feeling of how to solve the problems of Delhi, what kind of problems are there, and what are the best solutions under the circumstances. So I'm going to cover very briefly ingredients for a city to be Swacch, where Delhi stands, what is required to be done, and how to achieve the goal, and your role into it, or the society's role into it. Now, if you look at the ingredients for a city to be Swacch, we're not talking of Delhi, any city. A city can be termed a Swacch city if it disposes of in a suitable and sustainable manner its sewage. That's the first requirement of a city to be Swacch. So a well-designed sewerage system to take sewage to the STPs. Its stormwater through well-protected and maintained storm drains. Its solid waste through well-organized collection and disposal system. So this is the broad definition of the basic criteria for a city to be termed as a Swacch city. Now let's look at where Delhi stands on this criteria. The sewerage system in Delhi, only 50% of the area is sewered. The system is inefficient to even take care of this area, and a major part lands into Yamuna, and where we have a major issue of the Yamuna sewage or the Yamuna pollution. In terms of the storm drains, increasingly losing its capacity due to encroachments, silting, and dumping of solid waste. Majority of the storm drains are carrying sewage. That is the ground reality. And the solid waste, I think you know more than me, what is the state of affairs in Delhi. I'm going to show you some quick glimpses of what we have captured over the last 1 year. What is the fate of natural and artificial storm drains? Now, all these storm drains which are in red here, they are supposed to carry only storm water. They're all carrying sewage. And this is what has been given as an affidavit by the respective departments who are supposed to look after these drains. You can see that all of Delhi, all these red lines are showing that those storm drains which are carrying sewage. Many of them are also disappearing. That is another situation. I'll show you some of the pictures which have been taken by our students. This one storm drain in the month of May, when it's supposed to be dry, This is what is carried, and nothing but sewage. There's another storm drain near Chirag, Delhi, Defense Colony Nala. This is a storm drain which is totally filled up with the solid waste. You have another storm drain where we are showing that how the encroachment is taking place. People are living there on the bed of the storm drain. The extent of natural storm drains, there is a huge debate going on, and that's where I was asked by the NGT. I said that you have declared in the High Court a new policy that will save all the natural drains. No sewage will go into them. But who decides that which are the natural drains? Let's first try to create on a map which are the drains in Delhi which we can term as natural drains. So there was no answer. And they mentioned in that policy that there are only 21 drains which are falling into Yamuna, they are the only natural drains. Now when I went to the Delhi Master Plan, they referred that. There was only a table which was showing, saying that this table gives you the name of those 21 drains which are falling into Yamuna. So that was a different context. So then when we said that let's find out which are the storm drains, with a lot of difficulty, nothing came from the departments. Very slowly they were saying that this is the storm drain, half of this is already covered. So we then decided to take the map of 76 Drainage Master Plan and said that let's declare that as the storm drains of Delhi, which are natural drains, 201 of them. This is the map which is shown here. This is one of the natural storm drain which is concretized, because in the name of the sewage flowing through these drains, most of the localities feel that if they will be covered, it will be gone. They will be concretized. No sewage will be penetrating into the groundwater. The groundwater pollution can be taken care of. But then you are killing those natural systems. So this is one such system which is close to the Wazirabad road. There is another storm drain which is filled with the construction and the demolition waste, and is all gone. The status of sewered area is also only 55% of that is sewered. That's what we are seeing. Now what they are saying, the DJB is saying that it will take around 20,000 crores and 20 years to ensure that no sewage goes from these unsewered areas into storm drains as well as Yamuna. Now that is not the answer. Delhi cannot wait for 20 years, and that too ensuring that all these storm drains which are there, beautiful drains, the drainage systems which are playing a very huge role in terms of environmental functions. They are the recharge zones of Delhi. All the groundwater table, the groundwater seeping through these drains during monsoon, that is what you are drinking, that is what you are tapping, the routine. So we said that that is not acceptable, and we gave them a new proposal that how this can be taken care of, and they have decided to implement that, and NGT is going to, I think, come out with a verdict on that on 25th of November, which is the next hearing. IIT Delhi's engagement, we have been engaged because of the Drainage Master Plan of NCT, and that's where we started looking at that if the runoff is not flowing through the storm drains, because of the fact that the sewage is going through them. Now unless you take care of the sewage, the separation of sewage, you might not be in a position to take care of the problem of Delhi, because this is only an associated problem. So we have seen that the inefficiency of the existing drains is due to the silting, clogging of the solid waste, encroachment, change in cross sections. Anybody comes and does anything to the storm drain and then they just walk away. There are storm drains which are covered and nobody knows after that what happens to them. Nobody has even access to these storm drains, and there might be many of them living. We have been trying to use the technical knowledge in terms of planning the whole thing, in terms of finding out how much is the stormwater generated on account of the changing land use. The land use is totally different what was there around 50 years ago. So we are doing that exercise and ensuring, using the modeling approach, the simulation approach, what is the runoff generation now, and is the present storm drain capable of letting that runoff go to the Yamuna in a manner without inundating the areas. This is the kind of output of the simulation which I'll skip. The hindrance to the modeling process is that most of the data which was supposed to be there, nobody has the knowledge that even after getting the data through the fresh surveys, there's nobody who wants to validate that data, because that data belongs to the departments. So we are struggling a lot in terms of putting in place through the GSDL, which is a company under the government of Delhi, and involving them and the other departments to have all these things taken, put in place. One realities which I'll just like to mention, there are a large number of sewers that are punctured are sending sewage to the storm drains. DJB has already identified around 300 of such points, and these points are shown here as green points. That means all those, the sewer line which is punctured once because it got clogged is never repaired. So all that sewage keeps on flowing into the storm drain. There are cases which is the other way around. Many storm drains are flowing into the sewer lines. Now if that happens, then the sewer line will be surcharged during the monsoon period and it will start overflowing. So all the water, all the sewage which is going into these sewer lines, that will start overflowing, and that you must have seen many places that the manholes are open and the sewage is flowing onto the areas. The solid waste, I wouldn't say anything further. So ways to address these issues is that for unsewered areas, you have to plan, and that's what we are recommending to the NGT also through NGT, that you don't have to wait 20 years. There are problems in sewering the inside localities because the areas are not accessible. People are not willing to pay the money for getting that area sewered. So we said, let's go in for the second level sewer lines, put them in place and intercept the sewage coming out of these localities at that location where it enters the natural drain, and then take it to the nearest sewer line and then on to the STP. So they have worked out a new plan. Within the next 3 years, if that is put in place properly, you will have no sewage going from the unauthorized colonies, unsewered areas, into the storm drains and further on to the Yamuna. So the Yamuna problem can be easily tackled if really you implement these solutions properly. For the sewered areas, you have to plug all those unauthorized leakages and also ensure that no stormwater goes into the sewer lines. So that segregation of the sewage and the stormwater is very essential. And solid waste management, you have to take an effective step. I won't look at this gains. We all know that what will be the gains. The Yamuna will be the one you are spending so much money on Yamuna and nothing has happened. This is a much better solution. More interested in this last slide, which is the last slide of mine, the desired role of public. Now, unless you cannot let this happen to your areas and be a spectator. If you really want to have the action taken, you need to understand what is the ground reality, and that's where we come in to look at the technical part. Having understood that, we have to ensure that within your own localities, can we collect the information and put pressure on these respective departments which are responsible for maintaining these infrastructures. And that's what we feel that is possible to do. And we have also done some small example cases where new applications have been made where society can get engaged by having the mobile application which we have made, where you can take a picture and it's georeferenced, because these days the pictures are all georeferenced, and it sits on the place. And this is one example where I sent 800 of our students to the various drains, and they have captured the pictures of all these drains. Anybody who wants to, I think the link is not here, but we can send the link. There's a link where we can see all these things on a web, And all these pictures, 3,500 pictures have been taken by 800 students, and that has been put there. You can have what is happening to your locality, the drain which is going next to your locality. What is the status? Because most of us have never visited those areas. We are also looking at the e-governance model, how we can engage in doing something more than what we have already done through the technical part, where the engagement of the society is very important. So the resolve is, let's join hands to address the issues in a systematic and comprehensive manner by understanding the issues, contributing towards monitoring and keeping the upkeep of the infrastructure, work for enhancing accountability and transparency. If we can focus on that, I'm sure it'll be doing a very big job for this city as well as many other cities. Thank you much.
Thank you, Professor Gosain. As I said to you earlier, this is really on every Delhi resident's mind. So we can't thank you enough for giving us a complete approach and a complete picture to the extent that you can, given the data gaps. And we now open this for discussion from the floor. All know the rules. Please introduce yourself. Keep your comments and questions short and pointed. We will collect 5 such points, and then I'll request Professor Gosain to respond. And please raise your hand. Yes, please.
Hi, this is Mukul Kumar. Even though I'm a software person, but I have more interest in all these things. And especially when Dr. Gosain said about GIS, I'm extremely excited about that because there are 2 things I want to say. One is that if you can really draw the utility mapping of Delhi drainage system or Delhi systems that you are involved with, that will be a phenomenal help for planners as well as whosoever wants to handle that, because currently, as you yourself said, nobody knows what's happening, what drain is mingling with what and what kind of, I mean, it's such pathetic. If you really see things, they are so pathetic that it's very difficult. That's one part. And I'll request somebody to work out a proposition for completely utility mapping GIS for this. And second part is, Madam, can I take a little more time?
This is really meant to be conversation, so 1 more minute. You've already taken quite a bit.
Because next thing what I want to say is a large analysis, but I think maybe we can take it offline.
Thank you. Yes, please. Here.
This was a wonderful presentation. It's not my field, but it arouses interest of everybody. Yeah, my name is Ashok Vishwanath. I am Chairman, Commission on Agriculture Cost and Prices. The point is that you didn't indicate, I'm sure you must have worked out what would be the timelines and what would be the cost, because these 2 are the important factors to work on this. So in case you have done that exercise, I'm sure you might have, so that will also be very useful.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I'm Purnima Gupta, I'm economic advisor. Can I sit down and speak?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Hello, good evening to everybody. This was really a wonderful presentation, and I think the subject is so important that it touches as well. What I want to bring to the attention of here is that at an individual level, I think we need to create more self-policing, in the sense that we are not aware, what he said about being just spectators. Unfortunately, that is the truth. Delhi particularly, because everybody is rushing so much, whether it's morning, evening, for their respective preoccupations, that nobody has the time to stand and think, and what can I do about it? And I think that applies to many of us, including myself to some extent. So I found this article by Ms. Bajaj. She looks at how to create that awareness and that kind of dedication within an individual to actually take cognizance of such problems and do something. I have mailed that article to Rajat. Is he here? Rajat Kathuria, who had invited me.
Yes.
So I would request you letter.
We'll do that.
It's an
Yeah.
excellent article.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't have access to the printer, otherwise I would have carried a copy with me.
Sure.
It's an excellent article and it touches you. Any educated Indian, I think, would feel much more about the issue because she says at an individual level, right from Mahatma Gandhi till today, we don't have that inbuilt response to the issues of hygiene.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately the truth. And how to build it. And that article, especially
Yeah.
for an educated Indian, it would be
Sure,
excellent.
we'll make sure.
I think you can include it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Here.
Myself is Dr. Swangan. I am Chancellor of Mathan University from Jharkhand. But I spent 30-40 years in Delhi. And I was also associated with JIS work also. I know Professor Gosain's work was a fantastic thing. Professor Gosain, theoretically, whatever you said, there is no doubt, nobody contest on that. But please also advise about the STPs, because the STP problem is never solved.
The sewage treatment plants,
Yeah.
for those of us who don't know what STPs are.
But
Yeah.
he can give some light.
Yeah. Okay, yes, please.
Thank you for a nice presentation, and I think some technology you could understand. But there are two things. One, solid waste management, which you will sort of avoid it, where we can play some role, I mean, as citizens. Elsewhere, we cannot play any role. It is only the institutions which have to take care of this, whether it's your water drainage system or your sewage. These two things are institutionally what you call captured. I mean, individuals cannot do much about it. So, I mean, DJB apart, I don't know, I mean, DJB could do it, it should have done it. But DJB apart, I mean, what other agencies will they want to? NGT may be, I mean, some kind of enforcer, but they cannot be regulator.
Sure,
But
thank
their
you.
capacities are limited.
Yeah. Shall we take two more?
I am PK Chaubey from Indian Institute of Public Administration.
Thank you. I'll come to you next.
Hello, myself is Ashvani. I am from ITPO. Thanks for inviting somebody from ITPO. The best part of it, my office, that Prakriti and my residence, both are very close to Yamuna. So I'm well aware of the right, well aware about things in reality. I want to know the web link so that we can really monitor our locality. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Just one last and then we'll come to the second round, please. Yeah.
My name is Vikram Behel. I'd like to put, Dr. Gosain, put some thought into a user pay, whoever generates the sewage. Is there a component that gets added on to his, so, you know, if you consume so many kiloliters of water, then obviously you've generated so many kiloliters of sewage as a runoff. And then this can probably be used for the running of the STPs on a scientific and world-class basis. Secondly, the Japanese International Development Agency is very concerned about sewage treatment or the non-availability of sewage treatment, and they're prepared to give long-term agency loans for 30, 35 years to create the infrastructure that the Delhi Jal Board is looking for. The only thing is that they will monitor the implementation, and if it is not implemented, of course, the program will not see the light of day.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Gosain. Before I turn it back to you, I just want to add a little question myself. I saw in the newspapers that actually the Japanese have been engaged with the cleaning up for a long, long time. And would you like to tell us how come with, I don't know, some really horrendous figures that one hears about, why it is that they didn't monitor because they're ready to do this? Please, thank you.
I'll try to take them in the same order in which they were posed.
Press that.
This press is not showing here.
Yeah,
So the first from Mukul Kumar, the Drainage Information Utility. And that's a very good suggestion, but there's already DJP, not DJP, the GSDL, the Geospatial Delhi Limited, which is a company which has been put under the government of Delhi. All the money which was invested to put the whole infrastructure underground and overground of Delhi into JIS, this was the company which has taken over that work. And they are the ones who are supposed to also do the integration across the departments, so that it shouldn't happen that when you make a road and then the next month the road is again dug up because somebody wants to put a line. So that coordination, but still, let me say that it's still not reached that stage. Even this data which we are trying to get for on the drains, this was not there. They had shown the drain as a single line. There were no dimensions of the drains which were there. So that is still going to go a long way. But in the end, Delhi is moving in that direction where all these things will be available as infrastructure and you can use for various purposes.
Because NIC is funding a lot of these projects for different states also.
Yeah, NIC was their client in the beginning. Then the NIC didn't want to toe the line with what Delhi was asking for. They went for an independent project. So there is a history. I won't go into that. Then as far as the question from Ashok Vishandas is concerned, timeline and costs. Now that I didn't mention here. But the timeline and costs have been given by the DJB, which they are saying that it will take 20 years for the unsewered area to be sewered fully, and it will take around 20,000 crores. That is something which is not acceptable. So when it was debated in different circles, we said that you would come out with a much better. So the suggestion which we had given is that you do the interception of the sewage from unsewered areas at a location where it can be done before even the inside locality is totally sewered. So that can be done in the next 2.5 years or 3 years maximum. And that they have now incorporated in their plan. And they're saying it will cost around 4,000 crores to do this part, where the advantage will be that no sewage will be flowing into the natural drains. And if they're not flowing into natural drain, then even Yamuna will not be getting that sewage. From the sewered areas, they have given the timelines in terms of how much time it will take to plug all those the punctured lines, and also the municipalities to ensure. Now coming to again the question that where the localities have to put some restraint on themselves. There are many houses in Delhi which they have put their stormwater line into the sewer, which is not legal. The municipalities don't allow that, but we know that a very large number of houses, because none of the locality storm drains which are in the roads, either in the service lane or in the main lane, they're not functional. People have just covered them, they have put the ramp on top of that. So you are also equally to be blamed, because you have stopped that drainage which is supposed to carry the water, storm water, to the next level along the roads or the next natural drain. So that has to be again, this storm water is not going from major drains but into houses. All the rooftop water is going into the sewer line, not the storm line. The question on how to engage the individuals. I think again, as a society you have to, I always believe that you get, as a society, what you deserve. So if you're not connected, if you're not really gone to the level of demanding things, not united as a society, then you will be miserable the way we are. So you have to, maybe all of them might not be participating. In the beginning, some people have to take initiative. And those are basically what we are trying to propose. I'll also tell you that how we are trying to propose, that how you can connect to these things with a very simple, you might not be required to even give more than 1 day or 2 days of yours in 1 year. That's the kind of time which is required. But if you can own a part of the locality where you are living, and you can participate in this exercise, what is going wrong in your area? Identifying the spots that which you will put onto the web, and then showcase to everybody that what is happening, put pressure on the respective departments asked them, we are also trying to come out with the programs, the website, where we'll also help in segregating these problems which have been taken or sent by the individuals through these cell phones, segregating them and giving to the departments with respect to their jurisdiction. Which department this problem belongs to, and they should get it, and then it's for them to take action. And we are also trying to make provision for tracking the action, how long it took.
When will this be functional?
This is already, in our case, the website, and the website is under preparation. We are thinking, when the first draft is already there, maybe another 2 weeks. The cell application is already there.
So
It's
India
available.
Habitat Center in its next calendar can announce to our membership
Certainly.
that we have the web link now,
Yeah.
and you could do this, maybe? That would be a very, very good thing that comes out of this.
So once you take you can be a champion of your locality. We'll put your picture also on to the website, that this is the person for 1 year, he or she has taken over as a champion of the area, and they are going to communicate all the problems which you feel are the problems in that area. I think that is where the collective effort can be there. Let's pose the problems, because seeing is believing. If you don't show anybody some picture which is the ground reality, people have their own imagination. They feel everything is all right. Maybe they are just saying for the sake of saying. As far as my friend Subhankhan's question is concerned, the STPs are in the new proposal. See, the problem in STPs is that our planning is very poor. And that also comes to the question of Dr. Aluwalia, that JICA, how did they not look after these issues? The proposals, when they are made, there is one thing, how they are implemented and how the maintenance is done. That's another thing. We have many cases in Delhi where the STP has been made, but there is no sewage going into the STP. They are underperforming. The sewage is not connected. And this question was being asked even in today's meeting, which I am coming from, the Chief Secretary. He was asking those BJP people that why you have made a STP where there is no sewage coming. They have no answer. It was made because either the money was available or whatever happened. There are situations where the STP is not getting the sewage. So those various kinds of issues are there, and that's where the public can participate. If we define that these are the drains next to your locality which should be running dry 7 months or 8 months of the year, whenever it's wet, just inform. That is the malfunctioning of some place, either the sewer line or something is happening. So if that is reported, then that will be creating a pressure on the department. It will ask them that why. And the web link I have already mentioned. And then from Mr. Vikram Bahal, user space for running the STPs. I don't think that is needed basically, because the money is already paid. The user is already paying for their installation of the sewage system, and there's the public money. The question is that how we make sure that this public money is being utilized properly. And that's where all of you have to come in. All of you have to really come in the right way. That what is your right and where it has to be demanded.
Thank you. The second round will start with Mr. Kamal Mittu.
If I
Yeah,
can just
sure.
briefly respond to the suggestion made by you. Well, first of all, thank you, Dr. Gosain, for constructing this website and telling us about it. What we can do is we can certainly circulate it with our program to our members. In our database, we also have some people who do attend our programs and are not necessarily our members. So it will go to them also. And a brief notice on our, so people who are non-members will also see it and make use of this. And if anybody else has any other ideas on how we can spread this excellent initiative, please do let me know.
Thank you. Mr. Mittal.
My name is Kamal Mehta, a concerned citizen, let me say. As far as Swacch Delhi is concerned, in my humble opinion, it's not only about storms and drainage and cleanliness of the river. Perhaps we should think of renaming the river as the Yamuna drain and get over the problem. The question is, what is on top of our list of priorities as far as Delhi citizens are concerned? And my view is that Delhi's air is so polluted that most of us will be suffering from cancer or from TB or from heart diseases for two simple reasons. One is the 5 levels now are beyond all what we can expect from between Diwali and Holi. And the second one is ozone levels have gone up, which is a reaction between NOx and hydrocarbons under sunlight. And when you have high NOx levels, high ozone levels, and high PM2.5 levels, then you have a fantastic cocktail which contributes to cardiac arrests. And there is enough data, I could do a presentation, show you, prove to you that chances of getting cancer in Delhi in the next few years is extremely high. There is an excellent website for everybody here to go to. It's not done by me, I have no interest in it. It's called delhiair.org, and you can actually go and visit it and see what is happening. The government information as well as the US Embassy information done according to the US standards. Having said this, the next question comes about is water. Example, there is enough technology available that you can have zero discharge from most facilities. I don't see any reason why any commercial building in Delhi, and Delhi is mostly commercial buildings to begin with, and homes, cannot have zero discharge. For example, in our own building, which is Paharpur Business Center, I can say that we throw out close to 5,000 to 5,300 liters of water as sewage. And I made a pitch and said, I would like to be disconnected from the sewage system of Delhi. And the law does not permit you to be disconnected and set up some kind of an ETP, which would generate gas. Again, IIT has some research done to be able to generate cooking gas for it from sewage, and that is available. Plus, we can reduce the water. Two 4-liter water toilet flushes, and most of the flushes use too much water. Waterless urinals, which do not require any water at all. They are very effective